Hello and welcome to Paranormal Canadian Authors. And if you noticed in the thumbnail, yes, I had to use both hands to hold up the pile because they are definitely the majority of my Canadian authors. And no, it wasn't planned that way. It's just how it managed to work out. So we'll start off with Pat Hancock. This is from the Haunted Canada series published by Scholastic. There are 3 books written by Pat Hancock. Thankfully, I have all 3 of them. Another author from that series is Joel A. Sutherland, and this is the second collection, so this is books 4, 5, and 6. I recently found another set written by Joel Sutherland, so I have 10, 11, and 12. Now I just need to find 7, 8, and 9. As you can see, these have both been read, lots of sticky tabs, and they share stories from all around the country. They're enjoyable reads. As you can see, the singles are quick, easy reads. They're just fun to discover the various stories, different locations throughout the country. And yes, I am grateful that no, they don't give specific addresses so that, tons of people aren't showing up to create and cause shenanigans and so many other things that happen. I've been lucky enough to speak with Richard Palmisano twice on my live streams. I'll leave a link for that above to check them out. I first discovered Richard through Journeys into the Unknown, a book that I had read a number of years ago, just reread a little while back, and decided to reach out to Richard. Had a lovely phone conversation, and he came on my live stream where we talked about this work, which is in 3 parts. He shares ghost stories, he shares about his investigations, and then talks about the equipment, as well as has some templates for serious investigators to record their research. On the most recent live stream with Richard, we talked about his investigations Overshadows, an investigation into a terrifying modern Canadian haunting, as well as Meeting Place of the Dead. Again, Richard does not give the specific locations. He talks about what happened during the investigations. He does use psychic mediums. It's interesting to read these and discover how the information was validated. I highly recommend that if you are serious about learning what the paranormal involves, investigations, these are all great reads. Richard shares about his theories related to ghosts and the paranormal, and of course those have changed over time, as he has been doing this for well over 45 years. He began the Searcher group when he was 18 years old. That website is still up, the group is still running, and he still investigates with many of the same people. Another author that I discovered is Barbara Smith. This book is Ghost Stories of the Rocky Mountains. It's one of my recent finds, and this is from Lone Pine. This is book number 2. I have a number of other books by Barbara Smith. Then we have Joanne Christensen. This is Campfire Ghost Stories. This is book 16 of Ghost House, and I discovered this series through my thrift bookstore. There are 81 books in the series. There could be more, but 81 is the highest number I have, and no, I'm nowhere close to having completed that series. But it is nice to know that some of the authors for that are Canadian, like Joanne Christensen. Barbara Smith has also written books for this series, as well as having some of her own works. Next, we have Canada, Ghost to Ghost. This is by Sheila Hervey. I enjoyed the cover because it made me chuckle thinking of Newry and his Coast to Coast radio show with the paranormal. I mostly enjoyed this book. There's certainly a lot that I have tabbed in it. The one issue that I had is her statement about poltergeists, but no reference for where that definition came from, whether it's based on her own research or something she's come across. But definitely some interesting reads in here. During our last live stream together, Richard and I did have a conversation about the impact of all these YouTube paranormal investigators and how that is affecting the serious investigators getting permission to certain locations or different things like that. So sadly, even though, there's channels there who say they're for entertainment only, others claim to be real, paranormal, and yet the odd thing is they're not keeping records. They couldn't actually tell you what was the temperature that night, what were the numerous other variables that could have impacted that investigation, how many times did they go back to the same location, which quite often is 0. There are a few individuals that are an exception, and I'm sorry, going back a few years later doesn't count because, again, you don't actually know the sounds, the location, any of that stuff. So those bumps, creaks, and all the rest of it, you don't know the location enough to recognize the difference between, is it just the house settling? Is it the weather? Is it something extraordinary? So, yeah, we'll leave it there. The last author that I'll mention is John Robert Colombo. This is Mysterious Canada. It goes into ghost stories, Sasquatch, many other things. This was published in 1988. Yes, I do have other work by John Robert Colombo, a ghost story collection. He has a number of them. Again, they're fun reads. They're not only about ghosts and different things. All of these books can also contribute to learning about this amazing country from east to west to north. Every area has their share of ghost stories and legends, and I find it amazing to read about it. I'm grateful to people like John Robert Colombo and Barbara Smith, who were doing this long before something called the internet. So they were actually making phone calls, putting ads in newspapers, writing letters to people to get the information. Now, of course, it's somewhat easier because, yes, you have email and apps and all of that. But I mean, part of doing this as well is you want to be sure that someone isn't just telling you a load of hokum to get in a book. So having to do a bit of research and background checking as well still counts for something. Let me know if you have heard of any of these authors, if you've read any of these books. Do you have any of the Ghost House or Lone Pine series? As always, if you enjoyed this video or found something to be of benefit, be sure to give that like button a little tickle. Leave me an emoji, a long or short comment. It's all appreciated, as that's what tells YouTube people are enjoying the videos, interacting with them, and that means they push them out to other people who may also enjoy the content and find the videos. Until next time, remember, check under the bed. That creak behind you isn't necessarily a ghost, and take good care.